All right, just about 4 weeks to go for the elections. Let's start the show with the latest as far as the campaigns from both the camps. Former President Donald Trump will rally in Georgia with Governor Brian Kemp. The event focused on Hurricane Helen, the damage that the hurricane has caused, and will be the first time that the two have appeared together in public since the 2020 election. Donald Trump has repeatedly disparaged Kemp for not doing enough to help him overturn his loss to Joe Biden in the crucial state of Georgia in 2020. Trump is scheduled to campaign later on Friday in North Carolina. Meanwhile, Vice President Kamala Harris is scheduled to return to Michigan, and former President Barack Obama also announced that he will campaign for Vice President Harris in the month leading up to the election day, kicking off his efforts with a trip to Pittsburgh on Thursday, as far as the latest reports show. All right, shifting focus now to the first big story that we are discussing on the show. Well, former President Donald Trump is set to return to the site where he nearly lost his life in July, holding a rally on the 5th of October, and his campaign and allies have hyped up as one of the biggest opportunities to boost his candidacy in the final weeks of the presidential race. Donald Trump's rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, where he was shot in the ear by an assassin who killed a rally-goer and injured others, will give him a spotlight for one of his rallies that has been more difficult for him to grab in recent years. Elon Musk said he would attend the rally that Donald Trump is holding on Saturday in Butler in Pennsylvania, the setting of the first assassination attempt on the former president. In a post late Thursday, New York Times, on his social platform X, the billionaire wrote, "I will be there to support," in response to the Republican presidential nominee's post about his return to the site. Let's get in Caroline Malone to give us the very latest as far as what's happening on ground. Caroline, let me start by asking you the kind of, and I'm assuming that there would be unprecedented security measures that would be put in place, because this was the site where that assassination bid took place on Donald Trump.
Well, absolutely. Security is definitely being increased since that first attempted assassination on Donald Trump back in July. At the time, his security detail included the Secret Service, and they had a team in place that is appropriate for candidates for president. That is an agreed level. However, since there have been not just the Butler attempted assassination, but another one at a golf course where Trump was playing golf just last month, there's been widespread agreement to increase Trump's Secret Service protection detail to a level that's more on par with the kind of risks that he is currently seeing. On top of that, members of the House and Senate in Congress have agreed in a bipartisan way, which is quite unusual these days, but across the political aisle, to increase funding for the Secret Service in general. So they've increased by tens of millions of dollars for this group that is so crucial in protecting political candidates. And it's not just Trump that is, under threat from these types of risks. We know in the past years, for instance, the former House Speaker, Nancy Pelosi's husband, was actually attacked in their own home. It seems that the target of the attack was meant to be Nancy Pelosi. Fortunately, her husband survived the attack and things have moved on. But, this Butler, Pennsylvania rally that Trump is going to be going to on Saturday, he will be at the same place where that first attempted assassination happened. Of course, Trump survived. He got a graze on his ear and there was blood coming out of his ear. He was injured. But someone else did die in that rally, and other people were injured in that rally. And some of those people who were hurt, and some of the first responders, are going to be attending again on Saturday. So it shows a remembrance of some sorts as to what happened in July.
And as far as the Trump campaign is concerned, how do you see that? Because, of course, the effort here is, the messaging here is to project him as a strong leader, especially in the wake of all that's happening in the world, given that, there is a serious tension as far as the Middle East is concerned. The Trump campaign is definitely trying to project him as this very strong leader. Is that how you read it?
Absolutely. Well, you're right there. The strong leader aspect is an important one, and particularly for the types of voters that have come out actively in support of Trump. That's something that resonates with them. It's seen as important to them. After this first assassination attempt in Pennsylvania in July, there was, although it was of course a tragic incident, there was what can be described as an iconic image of Trump in which he had blood coming out of his ear, but he had his fist raised up while he was being dragged off the stage by the Secret Service. That was definitely a memorable moment from that event. And it's one in which people have responded to positively, saying, this shows the type of person that Trump is, strong despite the risks against him. Now, of course, he does need this increased security, but he is trying to, in some ways, show how strong he is. It's advantageous for his campaign for him to return to the scene of that crime from July and show that he's essentially not afraid, despite the fact he does need to have this increased security detail. It's going to be important as well to, remember the people that were affected outside of Trump, because this was, very much a wide event and was quite catastrophic for people in Butler.
Absolutely, Caroline, we leave it there. Thanks much for taking out the time and speaking to me on this very special show.